While we often discuss teams trying to reach the height of success, author Tom Pelissero set out 8 years ago to collect interviews about his time growing up in Bessemer when the Speedboys were simply trying to win a single game during an epic losing streak. His work culminated in a new memoir, Bring One Home, that released over the weekend. I recently met with Pelissero to discuss the details behind the new book. Sports stories often focus on a team's success as players rally together to overcome the odds and work towards winning a championship. Bessemer, Michigan, a proud athletics community, has fielded many teams over the years that fit that bill. The 1947 Speedboys boys basketball team is one such squad, a talented group who brought home the UP Class B high school championship, the first in the town's history. But less than 2 decades later, the team found themselves stuck in what would become the longest losing streak in UP history. Thomas Pelissero, a Bessemer native, was a grade school student and loyal Speedboys fan during the 1960s. His experiences watching the team became the impetus for Bring One Home, a memoir exploring the team's 42-game losing streak from November 1963 until January 1966.
When I was looking at the root cause of why these talented athletes were not winning basketball games, I interviewed over 50 of the players, coaches, fans, my buddies, to try and understand why this team couldn't win. One of the key reasons is that we were an iron ore mining economy, and the mines were closing. Residents that were miners moved out of town. They went to chase the job either in Minnesota or Lower Peninsula. What they did is they took good athletes with them, so they weren't there to contribute.
As the town faced the realities of a changing economy, the story explores the depth of its impacts. With fewer students and tighter budgets, the school system struggled. For years, there were no youth programs for young would-be basketball players to develop their skills. The school gymnasium was not open for young athletes to practice.
In writing the book, I didn't think kids growing up in this community were any different than kids growing up in any other community. I didn't know if anybody had it better. As a child, we had to organize ourselves. So when our parents opened the door and said, go out there, be home for lunch, that meant organize yourself, call up your buddies. So when we were playing on these snow-covered driveways, were the snowbanks in or were they out of bounds? Did you have to take the ball out or not? There were all kinds of different things we had to do, but we all agreed that we would get organized and this is how we would play the game. I thought that was happening in every community across America, let alone across the Upper Peninsula.
With first-year head coach John Bonk at the helm entering the 1963-64 season, the Speedboys began the year with a loss to Ontonagon. From there, the losses began to mount as the team endured 2 full seasons without a victory. The streak continued well into the 1965 season, this time with Carl Gregus coaching the varsity team. Nevertheless, the team remained determined to compete, with the Bessemer community at their back. The team and life in the town at the time take center stage in Pelissero's story.
My dad always said you learn a lot more from losing than you do from winning, because you adjust. When you're winning, you go with the same plan, but you learn to try different things when things aren't going well. And this book is full of what Coach John Bonk and Carl Gregus tried to do to get these young boys who are 16, 17, 18 years old, that not only teach them how to win, but teach them the fundamentals of the game, because unfortunately most of them did not have that experience growing up.
In January of 1966, the Hurley basketball team came to town. After 1,051 days, the Speedboys emerged victorious 74-52, an unforgettable moment for the team and their fans. While just a single victory, it felt like a turning point for the program.
It was wonderful. It was surreal. Knowing at least late in the game that we had a good enough lead, I knew we were going to win. Nothing bad was going to happen. Just the pressure lifted off of your back, the crowd, everything. It was wonderful. I mean, I wish I could have enjoyed that, many times prior to that, but this was a start. And the next year got better.
The team and its adoring fans gathered under the home basket
and raised Milo Barnaby up onto the strong shoulders of center Rick Cirilla to cut down the net. In that act, Cirilla lifted not just his teammate, but the entire town of Bessemer, the collective joy of the community now resting on his shoulders. With his last snip, Barnaby gripped the net with his hand, pulled it from the rim, and thrust it in the air. The fans around him erupted in joyful cheers. No championship had been won, no trophies had been earned, but everyone in the gym knew exactly what the net stood for, a symbol of what a person, a team, and a town can accomplish when faced with adversity and refuses to give up.